Hello, welcome to Allen Baptist Church Daily Bible Study. We're looking at characters of the Bible, and we're doing it in alphabetical order, and we've reached the letter S today. And the one we want to look at is one of the judges, Samson. You find his story in the book of Judges, chapters 13 through 16. Of course, Judges were a time when there wasn't a king in Israel, that God ruled Israel, but Israel would they would get into trouble, or they would rebel against God, and they would cry out to God, and God would send a judge to help them to overcome whatever the problem was and to judge the people. Well, the story of Samson is a difficult one. It's like an R-rated movie sometimes with a lot of sex and violence in it. And you say, how can that be a judge? And more importantly, when you look at the heroes of faith listed in Hebrews in the New Testament, Samson is mentioned there. Now, not much is said about him. It's just a list of some others that the writer could have talked about as heroes of the faith. And you say heroes of the faith, well, Samson is not particularly somebody that showed much faith. But I think there's something to be learned here. Samson came when the Philistines had been oppressing Israel for about 40 years, and they had just sort of gotten used to it. There was in his story as you find in some of the other judges, a cry out to God, God, please help us, and this person is God's answer. The people weren't even crying out for help. They'd just gotten used to what was going on and used to not really worshiping God. But what it shows is God's graciousness anyway, that God sent a judge even when the people did not ask for it. But of course they got a judge about what they deserved in Samson. You can go read in Judges 13 through 16 and see what I'm talking about. We don't have time to cover it all, but Samson's trickery, his viciousness, his carousing with women, breaking of his own oath before God, and all of those things that happened to him. But he ended up that he revealed where his strength came from, his Nazirite vow to God. In other words, his God was his strength. And he revealed that, and part of that was not cutting of the hair, and so they cut his hair, and his vow was broken thoroughly, and he lost his power, and they captured him, they gouged out his eyes, they made him do work like an animal, and they chained him up in one of their big temples, making fun of him, chained him between the two main pillars of the temple, and finally, Samson remembered God. And he, by faith, said, God, give me back my strength that I might tear this temple down. And God gave him his strength back, and he did. He broke those pillars, and the house fell and killed all the people, and killed Samson too. Why is he listed as a hero of the faith? I think it's because no matter how bad you've gotten, no matter how far you've gone, no matter how rotten you have been, if you by faith finally turn to God, God is still gracious, and he will answer your prayers. Or in the case of Israel, when you're not even crying out to God and you don't even realize how bad it is, he still might send a Savior. And so Samson reminds us of a world that didn't know they needed God anymore, but yet he still sent us a Savior, Jesus the Christ. God bless you.